This is the 5 Point Play Podcast, the Die Hard Duke Basketball Fans Podcast. Now we roll. 4-0 on the young season. Couple easy ones. Army, Veterans Day. Indiana State, obviously, that was easy work. Just ask Cam Boozer. We'll get into all that. We got a shit ton of questions from the mailbag. So, some they're egregious. So we're gonna get into those. And if you want to submit a question, you can always do it, but I would highly recommend you join our Discord because not only does it get wild in the mailbag, but it gets wild on game day. And obviously, we play
Game day threads
Kansas. We got
off
we
the
got we
chain.
got Kansas tomorrow. We heard from a lot of UNC fans locally already that they're saying this game doesn't count against Kansas, so we'll get into that as well. And then we got a couple other games that we'll cover before the show wraps up because we'll again record on Monday night. Now, AC, you're going to the game tomorrow night.
I'll be there in the building, baby. Yeah, I got to stop by the pop-up shop first.
How much are you taking on a loan for the
We're just gonna figure that out after it happens. That'll be the
Sure.
easiest way to do it.
Now, your wife doesn't listen to the show, right?
No, not at all. No,
You're
absolutely
in a
not.
safe space.
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
Life savings for one hoodie.
But if AC's best hit, then that'll pay for itself.
Right. That's correct.
It's a fact.
Right.
They don't hit, so I gotta figure something else out.
And DH, we do have to announce this on the show as is tradition. Tomorrow's AC's birthday.
Hey, let's go, man.
Turning 25.
Hey, happy early birthday, brother.
Thanks, man. I appreciate
25
it.
again.
25
25, yeah.
That's funny.
Not quite 25 plus 25, thank you. Thankfully.
Mine's on the 29th, so love for the November birthdays.
Yeah, I did it to Jack. I got to do it to myself.
I was gonna say, you gotta keep it 100 there.
That's right.
Yeah, so maybe 25, maybe 35, which is what Cam Boozer typically puts up. So obviously against Indiana State, 35 points, 12 rebounds, 5 dimes, 3 blocks, 3 steals.
Mm-hmm.
It was 13 of 16 from the field.
That's insane.
2 of 2 from 3, which I was probably the most happy I was because there have been a number of threes. And we'll kind of talk both of these games, the Army game and the Duke game. They're both blowouts, obviously. A lot of good things to take from it. Depending on what side of the 5-point play fence you were on, I think you have 3 of the more optimistic rose-colored glasses podcasters here. But kind of depending on where you sit, kind of what you take away from it. We'll get into it. But I think it all starts with Cam Boozer here.
Sure.
AC, like the guy is unbelievable. What is the ceiling here?
I think just like I think the ceiling is like a 30 and 20.
Like Marvin Bagley.
Yeah, like 30 and 20 type of night. You know what I mean? Like that's the ceiling. Because number one, this team's not great from 2 so far this year. We haven't been very effective from 2-point land this season. From 3, we've been pretty, kind of where you'd want to see a team early in the season, up north of 35%. So I'll take that. But we haven't shown the ability to get 2, especially from our perimeter, very easy yet. And then when we get the opportunities, we hadn't made a lot of them. So that's that. So Cam, like if that continues, Cam's gonna have lots of opportunities at offensive rebounds, which only pads your stats because he's gonna get the defensive boards. Because we force a lot of missed shots. Like this team, one thing about this team is that they are forcing crazy missed shots this season.
Yeah, there's no question. I hate to do this, TDH, but I think it does open up some critiques. So,
sure.
I agree with that. The 2-point shooting, and to me, it still seems a little bit like when they get going, they get going. And I think that's pretty clear. Now, whether you want to call it, some of them are slow starts, some of them where you have gaps in the middle of the games, especially in the first half. That happens with this team. What are you seeing? What is the tape telling you when you see Duke kind of getting some of those ruts scoring the ball when they go 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes without scoring?
I attribute it mostly to the fact that John Shire's not calling any offense, and that's on purpose. So I don't necessarily struggle with that just because, what are we? I don't have the Ken Palm numbers in front of me now, but I would dare say that I think our offense and defense are like top 7 or something like that right
Yeah, the team
now.
was 5-7.
And if I remember correctly, by this time last year, our offense was not any like maybe top 15, top 20. So if I say all that to say, I don't worry about the offense simply because I think Duke is already in a more cohesive place now than it was last year. And last year ended up being, of course, amazing. And again, I'm not comparing talent, I'm not comparing players. I'm talking about cohesion on that end. I think, yeah, any team, I think if you look at the top 5 teams, every one of them have had ruts either on either end of the floor that you kind of are like, wait, is this team really elite? And I don't worry about that with Duke. I think that if I remember correctly, I know shout out to Jeremy Wilson on our Discord, shared some more recent Ken Palm numbers, and I think we're like top 50, top 60 in 2-point percentage on offense, which isn't I mean, it's not
Still not
ideal.
terrible.
It's not terrible though. I mean, I think
No.
the tape would tell me that we're missing a lot of bunnies, but I think in a general sense, I don't think we're any that much more worse off than any other team in the country. And so I definitely think that we have some opportunities to finish some plays. I know Caleb wants a couple of those back. I'm sure Cam wants a few of those back. I know, but I know Nick wants a couple back. But I mean, ultimately, I don't worry about our offense. I think most of our ruts happen when we start standing and our ball watching when Cam Boozer is driving from the top of the key. I think that's mostly where our ruts happen. I think last game, I'm sure we'll get into it. Last game, we made much more of a concerted effort to get the ball to Cam Boozer in spots where he likes it on the block, and he's able to. I mean, 13 of 16 and all 3 misses resulted in a putback off of offensive rebound. You know what I'm saying? So I think that he was incredibly comfortable, and it's obvious that Shire was working with the team on getting guys shots in places that they liked it. And I think that had great results and against Indiana State.
Yeah, I know it's early AC, but we're definitely nitpicking here. The team's averaging 96 points a game. We're shooting, which I think is a very, very respectable number from 3 as a team, 37.5%. We're 75% from the line. I know a lot of people, you get a couple of misses in a row and the sky is falling from the line, but overall, it's not quite as good as last year. I don't have the number in front of me from last year, but I want to say last year's team was a very good free throw shooting team, even withstanding the Tyrese Proctor situation. But we're getting to the line. We're getting offensive rebounds.
Sure.
We're playing excellent defense. I think that's really, when DH is talking about not calling plays on offense. What John is doing defensively is the same thing he did last year, which is he wants his team fundamentally sound and connected defensively before he even worries about the offense. And coming into this year, I thought, just in terms of the ceiling, I didn't think the ceiling could be as high as last year. And I'm not saying that means we can't go as far or further, but what I mean is just like in terms of how great can this team be. I don't know that that's confirmed yet that it can't be. But that was kind of how I felt coming into the year. But this team has the ability to probably do a lot more in terms of just kind of getting to those record-setting numbers that last year's team did that I may have given the credit for before the year began.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of factors to this too, right? Like number one, dare I say this? I think the offensive ceiling can be better than last year's team because this team already shoots the three better than last year's. Last year's team, they were fine from 3. Like we had a really good team from 3. It was one of those teams that we've been wanting for like the past 10 years to be able to shoot from 3 or whatever. But already this team is surpassing them from the 3-point line. Just the way we get shots and then actually hitting the shots. There it is. But then the other thing too, it's like it's like baseball, right? Like the stat heads in baseball these days love to talk about how like the old guys wouldn't make it in today's baseball or whatever, which in my opinion is a ludicrous statement because if the same people being trained the same way would do just fine in baseball these days or whatever, but that wasn't their focus. So like when you're comparing last year's Duke team put up historic efficiency numbers. Efficiency wasn't being tracked in the 2000s. It wasn't being tracked in the 90s. So if you're going to tell me that last year's team with Flag and them would beat the 92 squad just because their efficiency is better, you're killing yourself trying to make a crazy statement. Because they didn't play the game for efficiency as they do now. Like John has a guy on his staff that tracks analytical numbers to determine how he's going to run his offense. Like, because that's what you do now. You do it in the pros, you do it like, so he's getting these guys ready for the NBA. So he's treating them in NBA fashion. That's what they do. So yeah, of course, like every year the numbers are going to get better. Like last year's team's efficiency numbers are going to pale into comparison from 8 years from now. You know what I mean? So like it's only going to just like we're going to see those things continue to rise, whatever. So I do think that this team in particular has a higher ceiling. I think it has to be reached by them unlocking the mid range a little bit, and again unlocking those twos. Like we've played some easy teams, so our 2-point efficiency numbers look pretty good. You take the one game, and it was the first game of the season. I understand that. You take one game, even two, but you can go back to Tennessee. We were lower than 45% from two. When you're playing better teams, bigger teams, and better defenses, we haven't been great from two yet. And part of that's because it's either a layup or it's a three for our team at the moment. So we unlocked the mid-range a little bit. I think that's going to change some things, and I think we have the guys who can unlock the mid-range. But offensively, we'll get there. But defensively right now, this team is a menace, man. You got three of the best defenders in the conference in Cam Boozer, Dame Sarr, and Malik Brown, which is insane to think a freshman is one of the best defenders in the conference, possibly even the country. But it's damn true because Cameron Boozer is an amazing defender.
Yeah, no, I think that's absolutely true, and it puts things in perspective. And I know that even last year they were talking about the efficiency numbers weren't tracked, prior to whatever it was, 2002 maybe, something like whatever it was.
Yeah.
And we're not. Here's the thing: we're not trying to take away from last year in any sense of the word.
Absolutely not.
But I think what we are doing is kind of highlighting not only how good this team can be, but the growth of John Shire at the age. I think that he's just coming. He's not even close to his prime coaching wise yet.
Yeah.
That probably won't be there for another 2, 3, 4 years, which is insane.
Yeah,
at least.
Talk about that.
The cool thing about John is I think the same. I know a lot of us who watch, we all digest so much about Duke all the time. And one of the key phrases that the team has adopted is this Kaizen mentality. For those that don't know, Kaizen is like a Japanese business concept that basically is about continuous improvement, getting, they talk a lot about getting 1% better every day. And I think John takes that on to himself and his staff just as much as he expects from his team. Every game they're evaluating what they can do better, what they can do worse. I think a lot of behind the scenes, my understanding is that they have a lot more two-way conversations with players about whether it be performance or whether it be the team about their own performance as coaches or the players' performance, each of them. And this concept of, okay, how can we get better for the next game? And I think one of the things that John has learned is last year worked, like the trajectory of the year, what he prioritized worked. It's just about shortening the learning curve. And so you think about things like, hiring Evan Brads and Tyler Thornton as player development guys. You think about hiring Jace McCain to run their new blueprint approach to player development, where it's not just about individual workouts, but about getting live bodies and getting using the scouting report as a means to develop them individually before and after every practice. I think that's, he's looking further than basketball in how he develops his teams. And even if it's like getting Russ Roush as this mental skills coach, I think they call him, just those things are just so much more forward thinking. And I think that John has really developed his program to be the best place for the entire Duke student that happens to be a basketball player to continue to manufacture its best product. And I think that we're seeing a lot of it so far this year.
Yeah, we're getting into the weeds on this, but it's all true, and it is something that John Shire is one of the reasons that he was hired, is because he was forward thinking even when he was on K's staff. And I think that that's why you saw, guys like Chris Carrawell, who is 10 years a senior, who had been at other programs and had come back and, was like, no, John's the guy.
Yeah.
And I think that they all knew that
Yeah.
because of the way Jon Scheyer approaches not only basketball, but the entire sport and the landscape. And he's so forward thinking. Honestly, we talked about your girl Rachel Baker, just bringing her on and doing that. We've talked about that on ad nauseum. But we also talk about bringing, speaking of the U, though, I mean, Jay Lucas, we talk about bringing him on, we're going outside the Brotherhood to bring on, different members of the staff, not just associate coaches.
Preston Green has been one of the best additions this year, by the way.
100%.
So those are things that, Jon Scheyer is not afraid to do. And I'm not saying that Coach K is afraid to do anything. I mean, he was the master at adapting. But at the same time, Jon Scheyer, at the age he's in, is the perfect person to be in this landscape of college sports, let alone college basketball.
Yeah.
And he's navigating it right now. He's navigating it perfectly, and he's in year 4. And so you keep doing these things, and that's what gives us the platform to be able to nitpick on 2-point conversions versus whatever else when you're averaging 96 points a game. And I get it. We played a bunch of cupcakes and then Texas.
Right.
And we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of the non-conference here in the next couple of weeks. So we're going to find out, just kind of where we are so far in the development of this team. But gone are the days of saying that Duke peaks in November and December. Gone are those days. And even as fans, sometimes we get really frustrated when we lose a game early in the season. But we all kind of collectively have a confidence that, what, we've seen this a couple times now. We trust that John's going to have his team peaking at the end of February, early March, because that's what he does.
All
So I'll
3
give you
years.
guys I'll give you guys another last word here before we get into the mailbag, because I need all of your ammo for the mailbag.
Go ahead, AC. It's on you.
No, I mean, like you touched on it, and I don't want to beat a dead horse, but John's doing, like, name another coach who has started their career round of 32, Elite 8, Final 4 right off the bat like that, and then continuously bringing in the top talent, like the recruiting part of the game, because that's also a part of it. He gets docked for that part of the game for some reason, but the recruiting part is the most important part because it allows you to have practices where you have extra bodies who are not just walk-ons. Like, these are their scout team essentially has guys who are scholarship players on it. Like, that's you can't duplicate that any other place. Like, it's very difficult to duplicate that any other place anyway, I should say. So that even just that part, man, like, the recruiting is another huge part of that thing where we can implement all these systems and do all these things that John wants to do because he can just go and nitpick and handpick what he wants. I need this, I need that. I see what you do. I see what you do offensively. Yada yada yada. Let me get that. And it's just you can't. Nobody's running a better program right now than Jon Scheyer. But yeah, people will find out. They'll get on board with it, or they won't. And who cares? Because we'll just keep winning games. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Very simple. Very simple. As far as my own last word about this, I mean, John is there. When you think about 4 years ago when folks were talking about who the next guy was going to be, and there were lots of names thrown around. Hindsight's always 20/20, but damn, I'm glad they figured it out. And
glad Duke Twitter didn't get to pick the coach.
Right, exactly. I mean, I'm glad that Duke Twitter doesn't get to pick a lot of things, frankly. But yeah, I think, and it's no more evidence than the fact that Rachel extended him to 2030, 2031, something like that. Because the buy-in, the athletic director is so key in all of this as well. For John to have built in the course of 3 seasons enough goodwill for Rachel to be like, listen, you can't, I don't need you going anywhere because your vision for the program needs to be implemented and seen all the way through. And, not that I was concerned necessarily that John would get poached by the NBA or wherever the hell else. But it's good to know that commitment goes both ways. And I'm really excited to see if 3 years results in, round 32, Elite Eight, Final Four. I'm really excited to see what the next several years develop, because if John is already contending for Final Fours every year, at a certain point, I mean, and his words have been, listen, if we're there, probability is we're gonna cross the finish line at some point. He just wants to continue to get there, and I think he has a good chance this year as well.
Real quick, back to your point. Sorry, TK. Real fast, back to your point about the NBA. I think like the choice of John was it's an incredible choice. Number one, you got youth, so you got youth that had potential behind it, and then the potential was reached very early. So that's already a home run. And then you get a guy who really is not hot and bothered to get to the league. We're gonna have a couple of seasons probably where we sweat out. Is John gonna jump to the Celtics or somebody like that? We're gonna have a couple of those seasons where that's gonna be a sweat. But kind of like Kay, I mean, it's like if Nina does what Tom Butters and Joe Oliva did with Coach K, we can keep him. Like you can do some things to keep him around monetarily and some other parts of that. Like you can do some things to help keep him, because he's not like we got lucky that his eye got knocked out, basically. That's essentially how that worked out. You know what I mean?
That's
I hate to say it that way, but that's how it worked out. Like he didn't get the itch for the league like that. Like he immediately came back to college. Like he's even said it. He's like, college is his place. Like he loved being a college student. He spent 4 years at Duke, loved being a college student. Like he loves that atmosphere, and it fuels him. So at some point in time, he's also a competitor. At some point in time, I'm sure he's going to want to see what that might look like. But maybe it's one of those things like, hey, where he gets to experience it with the Olympic team or something, as opposed to having to bring the Portland Trail Blazers from a 17-70 record to something better. But
yeah, it's funny.
I think it's a home run.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's funny because I was gonna keep it on the NBA topic as well. That's because actually one of the ways I look at it is John has some young kids, right? So this is a perfect place for his kids to grow up. So I think for the next 10, 15 years, we're probably gonna be pretty lucky and keep them around. But even with that, John will still be under 60 years old. So if he wants to jump to the NBA after 3 or 4 titles here,
right,
by all means. I just don't. I don't know that we're gonna. Man, I hope I'm wrong, but I don't know that we're gonna be blessed with another 40-year run, back to back of coaches.
If there's anybody who would do it, it's him. Like he's like the only option for it. Between the age, the ability, and everything else, he would literally be the only option to be able to do what K did.
It would be, and the thing is, it would be his call, and that's the ultimate, selling point. It's like, hey, man, it's whatever you need, whatever resources you need, everything is here for you. It's totally your call, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
So we couldn't be luckier as fans, and I know we've talked about that a lot on this podcast, but it bears mentioning again and again and again, because it is that important to have that foundation. I mean, you see what happened with Auburn, right? Like, what they got going on, like, we're blessed, man, to go from Coach K to John Shire. We're only in year 4 with this thing. Like, count your blessings. Every time you go on Twitter and you're complaining, just count your blessings. Speaking of counting blessings, okay, let's get into the 5 Point Play podcast mailbag, sponsored by the B Hodge.
The mail's here. Come on. Bye, guys. Here's the mail. It never fails. It makes me want to wag my tail. When it comes, I want to wail.
Shout out to Steve, man.
Yep.
That was
Steve Bird's alive.
That was Jackson in that. All right, so we have first question here from Matthew Lofton, 15. Phenomenal person on the Discord. We all knew that Pat and Malik have foul trouble would be an issue, but Duke has had to manage with some foul trouble against Tennessee and through the first 4 games. So John has had to throw out some lineups that we were not expecting, and not only did they keep Duke afloat, but even somewhat successful. So his question is this a blessing in disguise? Because one, Pat, limited in action in the last few years because of injury, has had to learn to play and thrive with foul trouble, and 2, John had to go to lineups he didn't necessarily think he would use and think this isn't half bad. So essentially, is this a blessing in disguise that Giants had to go to these other lineups early, and is it good for the development of Big Pat? AC?
Yes and no. You don't ever want I don't ever want Big Pat to have to come off the floor and miss major minutes. You know what I mean? So I think in that regard, I think it's a blessing in that we are learning how to play without him. However, we need to know how to play with him because we're at our best when he's on the floor. So I think it's one of those double-edged sword things. We'll get chances with him on the floor later on in the season, obviously in bigger games and things. And even in big games, he's probably not going to get much more than 25 minutes a game anyway, between the foot issues, things like that. They're going to keep him on a minute count for the most part. But yeah, I mean, obviously you can always see the merit in being able to have your guys on the floor with different types of lineups. I think really, I mean, it's not even that we've experimented that much with the posts. We know who the posts are. It's Cam, it's Leak, and it's Pat. And they all kind of operate very similarly in some ways. Not always, just in some ways. Like, we can run some of the same stuff with them, the way we run the four out, one end, and stuff like that. But really, the experimentation has been in the backcourt. Again, talking about using the analytics and stuff, having Caleb and Caden on the floor together quite a bit in this easier non-conference schedule has been interesting, because I thought in the preseason when we talked about it, I said that's a lineup I really don't want to see very often, because I didn't know what the scoring potential was going to be with those two. But so far so good, because they've both been aggressive at trying to get buckets. They've both been aggressive at getting to the rack, taking the threes when they have an opportunity to take them. And defensively, they've both been actually menaces. They've been really good on defense. So that is really helped. Again, we'll see what happens when we play some bigger, stronger, faster teams. But so far, we've had a chance to kind of see what it looks like with those two on the floor, and it really hasn't looked bad, because those two don't turn the ball over. They both know the offense very well, so they're able to get people in the right spots and get the ball to people in the right spots. So, I mean, that's to me, the experimentation really has been in that backcourt.
Yeah, I completely agree. I actually, DH, was thinking the whole time of this question. What I've been most pleasantly surprised by is the lineup featuring Caden and Caleb. And I think Caleb actually looks more comfortable when Caden's on the floor than vice versa. And so I love that lineup. I think John's going to go to that lineup when he needs a spark for sure, but it's very efficient as well. So I'll let you get to the rest. And I wanted to point that out as well.
Yeah, I mean, on the subject of Caleb and Caden, Caleb's what, 6 for 12, 50% for the. I mean, we'd love to get the volume up, but I mean, you have your catch and shoot 3-point threat that can get 2 feet in the paint at will, and has proven the ability to spray it. I mean, there have been some risky interior passes.
Bring it back to Quinn Cook.
Yeah, I don't hate it.
I say it too loud. I don't hate it too loud.
Listen,
quiet.
Got it. Shh, not too loud. Not too loud. Not yet. Not yet. Let's wait till after Kansas. But no, I like when they have to go to that lineup. What I was worried about was how would they be. I mean, Caleb is so strong that he kind of mitigates any size disadvantage he's going to be in when defending wings, especially because they switch 1 through 4 so often. But my primary concern was I shared with AC, or I was similar with AC in that I was skeptical of the Caden Caleb lineups before the season started. But I think now that you're seeing Caleb be a relatively reliable catch and shoot guy and has the ability, regardless of how much more we want from him when he does get 2 feet in the paint, he's shown the ability to get there whenever he wants. And now he's doing some things in ball screens and looking to score. Like, he's doing some things that I think have really have been really good for this Duke team. I never expected him to have to be a 13 to 14 point per game scorer, not on this team. And I think he's at 8 or 9 now. That's exactly where sweet spot needs to be. And on the question itself, is foul trouble, particularly in the front court, a blessing or a curse? I think it is it's a blessing in that it's shown the ability for Shire to be able to go to different lineups and stall for time. I think that's a good thing to have. I think that's a coaching rep that I think will be beneficial later in the season when folks go at him. I think the curse is that folks know that Pat is good for a moving screen and on a switch reaching at least two fouls, two essentially stupid fouls a game. And I think that's the part where I'm like, I don't love that. Now, he absolutely is capable, I mean, for playing long stretches. And I think against teams that are, against bigger teams, I think that'll be a little less of an issue. But I think guys in the ACC, a lot of big guys will be able to shoot and will be able to draw Pat out of the post. I think, from a rim protection standpoint, I think we're much better with, let's not get it twisted. Malik can block some shots too. He's shown some explosive athleticism. I think he caught like an alley the other night that was like, okay, there's some bounce there that I didn't necessarily expect to see from him, especially so soon after kind of this knee leg issue. But I guess I say all that to say, I don't think you ever want your big guys in foul trouble. I don't think. But in true Jon Shire fashion, developing those contingencies early in the season, and Cam hasn't looked bad at the 5. So in a pinch, having Cam at the 5 has at least been serviceable to stall the minutes, and I think that it'll bode well for Duke long term.
Yeah, I agree. I think one of the things with Big Pat is that he's really good at goading his opponent into stupid fouls, but he's also guilty of a lot of stupid fouls on his own. And so I think that's half player, half coaching, where we got to clean that stuff up. And if you go through the Discord on the game day chats, some of the things that I look at when I watch this team, and again, the 4 games aren't what they were. We're not playing elite competition, but it's a chance for, kind of going back to the questions, it's a chance for John to tinker. It's a chance for him to look at different lineups. But some of that is, okay, now that we've seen a couple different things, not only on lineup wise, but individually, here's how we can clean those things up. Because I think there's a lot of room for improvement on this team, and that's the scary thing for the rest of the country.
Really quick, TK. What I will also say is, particularly on the moving screen parts, as much as it's easy for us to come down on Pat for that. We have to. Most of that is on. Most of those have been against Isaiah because Isaiah hasn't waited to set the screen up. So as much as we can say, hey, let's not move, moving screen has to be set up by another player coming off of said screen. So I would love to see, to your point, that yes, he reaches sometimes when he gets beat from a super quick 6'3", one or off ball guard. But in some of those offensive possessions where he does have the opportunity to set the screen, he has to have a reliable, whether it be Isaiah Evans, I think comes first to mind because I think a lot of those flare screens and curls and DHOs happen with Isaiah off ball. And I think Isaiah has to help him quite a bit in that regard. I think that'll be something I'll be looking for going through the seasons, that timing. And that's something that you get with reps.
Let's get to that.
Let's say it like it is. Pat's making some dumb fouls. Pat is making dumb fouls. He's good for 2 to 3 fouls 30 feet away from the basket a game. It is like clockwork. In preseason, John said, we do not want him to switch. We will switch 1 through 4. Pat will not be switching. That's going to be the problem for us is when we play teams that want to switch. When we play Arkansas, Arkansas, Louisville, NC State, UNC is going to want to switch. That's something Hubert's go-to move is the switch. Virginia Tech, not saying that as a homer, you see what Virginia Tech's doing with the kid from Greece. They're going to be getting Pat out on the perimeter when they play Duke. That's bottom line. So I hate seeing it. Foul trouble blessing in disguise, sure, but I don't like to see it. That's going to be a bugaboo.
We play Kansas tomorrow, and if you don't think Bill Self's going to try it, you're crazy.
He's going to give it a shot.
Yeah.
That's why we have Malik, right?
That's why Malik's good enough to make it hard.
Yeah.
Right.
But then Malik gets 4 fouls a game.
Yeah,
he
has some stupid fouls. But that's why we have Dom Song too. So, all right. So next question. This one comes from Marshall. Kind of goes into some of the Darryn Harris shooting splits from 3. He's 2 of 8 outside of the last 5 minutes of the game. He's played 41 minutes. How confident are you all that shooting can translate out of garbage time this season? And additionally, he only has two 2-point attempts in 61 minutes, one being a fadeaway, the other one's a layup against North Carolina. He's avoided driving several closeouts as of late. Is there any hope left that he can become a driver this season? And if so, how confident are you in it? So I think it's kind of a two-part question there with Darryn Harris in terms of his shooting and will John call on him? I'll kind of add that in. Between the first 35 minutes of the game and then what you would call garbage time.
Who's first, TK?
I'll go first because I think the second part of the question is easy. No, I don't think that he's going to be a driver this season. I don't think that that's what we're asking him to do. So that part, no, I think that he'll be asked to come in, knock down shots. Now, that doesn't mean that he won't be able to get a couple here or there if that's what the situation is. I have confidence that he can. And we talked about mid-range. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he could come in there, hit a floater, do something like that, maybe, quick pull-up. But his game is going to be predicated on, are you knocking down the three or not? And then obviously the defensive part of that as well. But we're just talking about shooting and offense right here. So do I have confidence in Darryn outside of garbage time? 100%. Now, just because I have confidence, I'm not sitting there saying that I think that he's going to be getting big minutes, unless the only way he's going to be getting big minutes is if he's going 5 of 5 like he did at the end of the Army game. If he's hot, leave him out there, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Darren's problem is going to be we got 8 guys ahead of you here in the rotation. So you either better come in hot or your minutes are limited. But go ahead, DH.
Yeah, it's obvious. I think it's obvious at this point that he's the 9th guy in a 9-guy rotation, right? I think John is going to continue to roll that dice as long as he's at least serviceable or average to slightly above average defensively. I think he's always going to get that 12 to that 12 minute to 8 minute TV timeout spurt in the first half, and to see what you're going to get. If you're going to get a hustle play or two, great. If you're going to get a driver closeout, get a foul, great. If you're going to get him getting fouled on a 3-point shot and making 3 free throws, great. But I think that I think his superpower is that 3-point shot. And I think that if he can hit that with consistency, he'll see more time in that first half and see more time in the second half. I think John has learned from last year in moments where Isaiah would come in, hit 3 threes, and then John would let him sit in the late in the first half and into the second half. And I think that I think he'll get those opportunities as long as he's serviceable on defense. He'll get those opportunities. How long he plays will depend on if he can be at least a net neutral on defense, and if he's hitting that 3-point shot with regularity. And I mean, also, let's be honest, he's probably, you have to convince me that you can find a better ninth guy in a 9-guy rotation in the country. That's such a, I mean, as we talked about, counting our blessings, having Darryn Harris as your 9th guy with upside to be able to go higher in the rotation based on his own play is something I think that he could ask for, and all that Duke fans should be able to ask for as well. Do I expect him to do more than that? I think that'd be a plus, but I think he's out there to stretch the floor. To be honest with you, I think he has the capability to do more, but that's on him to show that. I think that John is letting him know, listen, as much as he gets fouled, I feel like at least once a game he gets fouled on a 3-point shot, because folks know that's his shot. Mm-hmm. And I think he has the opportunity to drive closeouts as well, especially early in the game, to see the ball go through the basket, get fouled, something like that. But he's absolutely capable of doing more. And I expect it's also a long season. I expect him to do more as the season goes on.
Okay, go ahead, AC.
Yeah, TK, you mentioned something. You said we're talking about his offense, not talking about his defense right now. But I think talking about his defense is very important, because that's what's going to get him on the floor to be able to get a rhythm. He's a shooter. Shooters need rhythm. Shooters need confidence. Shooters can't be gassed out there. When Darren's on the floor, you can tell, like on the defensive side of the ball, his mind's racing because he's still getting used to things. Remember, he didn't play last year. He didn't play big minutes last year or even important minutes last year. So that superpower that he still has to be honed. You almost have to think of him as a freshman in some ways, just because this is the first time he's really been getting, floor time in college in big moments. So I think it's going to be a work in progress. I think by the end of the season, you'll see the law of averages take over. And yeah, he's so far he's made like one three in the first half of a game, which I think that also mirrors this team because in the first half of every game we played this year, we've shot poorly from three. So it kind of mirrors the team in some ways. But the law of averages will take over for a shooter of his caliber. He's an incredible shooter. He's got a great mind for the game, especially on the offensive side of the ball. The defense will only pick up as he gets to play more games and play more minutes. So I do think that will sway to his favor later on. I don't know if he'll make his way out of being the ninth man in this rotation because the guys that are ahead of him are already ahead of him defensively, and they're already doing very important things within John's offense. But no, I don't think the shooting woes will continue much longer for Darryn. It might go into, closer to conference play or whatever. But as he gets some more time, especially on these bigger games we got coming up, he's going to hit some shots that are very important for us in some of these non-conference games we got coming. And I can't wait to see it. In terms of him getting twos or whatever, that's going to be on drives. Like DH said, that's going to be in the mid-range, or TK even said it's going to be in the mid-range potentially. But he's an awesome cutter. He knows how to cut, knows where to cut. We've seen that before. And he knows how to move the ball too. So he's a good passer. We saw that in CTC. We saw that in a couple of the exhibition games. Him moving the ball around a little bit too. So his time is coming for that. And like I said, I look at him more like a freshman or a first year player just because last year he didn't play. He didn't get minutes. So
I think the
not
other thing
surprised.
that to me, he's the only true specialist on this team.
Mhm.
I mean, you can talk about Malik Brown, defensive specialist, but to me, Darren's a specialist in shooting the ball. That is what his
Yep.
specialty is. Where everybody else is just really good. Like they're well rounded. Like I
Mhm.
look at Isaiah Evans, and you can call him a specialist, but DHU and I have talked about this. We think that Isaiah's defense is taking an uptick. Now,
Mhm.
granted, he's gotten a lot more minutes, especially last year, to be able to kind of, to your point, AC, to
Yeah.
be able to show more and learn more and get that experience. But you look at Caleb, obviously Caden, Big Pat, like all these guys, Hamania, like they all have well-rounded games in terms of being able to do a lot of
Mhm.
different things. Where I'm not saying that Darryn doesn't have that, but right now he is a specialist. Like I just
Mhm.
truly believe that, like John's like, you hot, good, you're in. Like,
Yep.
and that's kind of what it's going to be for him for the foreseeable future until we kind of say, yep, John's going to stick with 9 or John's going to cut it to 8. And that's kind of the only thing, and it's up to Darryn, honestly.
It's the hardest
To
thing to do on the floor is come in and be asked your first
hold.
shot, you got to hit it.
Yep.
You might
Mhm.
get a chance at 2, but your first shot, you definitely have to hit. And if you don't, somebody else is coming in. Like that's
Yeah.
the hardest thing to have to do because he's not
It's a really
3 and
hard
D
thing.
where he's on the floor for defense because he's not on the
Right.
floor for defense.
No.
He's on the floor for that 3 part. The defense, that's going to have to come later on, but he's on the floor for that 3 part. And if you don't hit that first one, that's tough, man. It's a hard job. It's a tough job.
Mhm.
But he signed up
Yeah.
for it. He
Yep.
decided to
It's
come
a tough
back,
job.
and I'm happy about it.
Absolutely.
All right, so Gville Dookie 11 asks a couple questions here. What's the ceiling? And I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna break down. He's got 3 questions, and I like them all. So I'm gonna break them down. What is the ceiling and the floor for this year's squad after the first few contests? And we kind of already touched on it a little bit. Um, I think the ceiling is extremely high for this team. It's higher than I thought coming into the year, and I think
Mhm.
that's a lot of credit to the work that this team has put in. But just John being John.
Mhm.
Whereas I kind of thought that, this team might take a little bit longer. But I think, they have so much room to improve. So just based on that and from what we've seen, I think the ceiling is the roof. Like it is. I mean, I honestly believe that this
Well
team
played.
has the capabilities to cut cut down the mess in Indianapolis. DH.
Yeah, same. I mean, I think I tweeted this and I got some mixed feedback on it, but I was like, listen, I'm sorry, y'all. Like, as much as we talk, question marks about PG, question marks about, Dame sometimes and Isaiah sometimes, there hasn't been any other team that has looked loads better than Duke at this stage in the season. I'll be honest. And so, assuming that John's trajectory remains consistent and they get loads better between now and February, Duke has a chance to be, like title front runner good. I think Final Four ceiling is kind of a foregone conclusion, but I don't think that anyone is talking about Duke in the same breath as they're talking about a Houston or a Purdue, even though Purdue has looked kind of shaky too. But I think Duke has the opportunity if they play well and go to the trajectory to be a team that is a title front runner, not just a contender. I think floor. I need to see what happens in these next few non-conference games with regard to how do they handle guys attempting to get Cam and Malik and Pat in foul trouble. Will we continue to get consistent 25, 9 and 8 from the point guard position every game? Will we be able to? Can Isaiah get it going at the same time as Dame? Like you said, TK, there's so many things that this Duke team can get so much better at, which is terrifying. Should be terrifying for the rest of the country.
Yeah, AC, I want to add something to that because you brought up Slim and Dame there. I almost feel like, and this is not a great quality because I'd like to see you be consistent all the time, but I almost feel like when the lights are the brightest, that's when, Zay shows up. But I need you to show up every game.
Right.
So if we're talking about,
Agreed.
The floor and stuff like that, don't get caught slipping, in the round of 32. Or something when you like, I'm playing Central Florida or whoever in the round of 32. Like, no, we need you to be and that's another evolution of being a great player. Is it doesn't matter who I'm lining up against. I'm bringing it every single night.
Yeah, that's the ceiling for this team is double-digit wins every game in the tournament. That's the ceiling to this team, in my opinion. Only team that Duke's ever had do that is Shane Battier and Jay Williams and them when they made it to the national championship game, beat Arizona. I think that's the ceiling for this team. The floor, in my opinion, is Final Four because looking around college, I don't see anybody else who has the size, speed, athleticism that Duke has on top of the efficiency, on top of the defensive efficiency and offensive efficiency. Those numbers don't lie. They're not just made up. And you saw what that led to last year. It led to a team that had a Final Four floor at the same type of numbers. And like we're saying, we look around college and we don't see a team like an Auburn or Florida even from last year. Alabama, the way that, everybody looked at Alabama as the juggernaut that they were. We don't have that right now. A lot of teams with some flaws and things that they're going to work out too. Like, by the way, like they'll get in the March and they'll be better. Houston will have things that they have to work on that'll make them better when they get to March, everything else, all those teams. But in my opinion, the floor should be Final Four. It's not to say that we can't get knocked out for some reason in the NCAA tournament because everybody can. But all things created equal, there's nobody in the country. I look at them and say, I don't know what we're going to do against them.
Yeah, and I think this will be a question that we revisit mid-December when the team's away and, you got a little bit of a lull there, and after we've played another 5-6 games against a gauntlet of a non-conference. So this is a good question that we can revisit.
Absolutely.
How would you describe our offensive identity currently, and how do you think that will change by the end of the season, AC?
This is something that we talk about in our group chat quite a bit. His identity. Shouts to D the Duke fan, everybody's favorite.
Indeed.
And I think he's right. I think this team does. I think we have a defensive identity. I think we lack an offensive identity, but I think that's par for the course. Most teams know who they are in defense early on. They know they're going to be a zone team. They know they're going to be a switch man team. They know they're going to play no middle. Like the teams know what they're going to. The coach has the game plan for what they're going to do. Last year, like he knew what the next year's team is going to be like on defense based on how he's recruiting everything else. So we know like this team has an incredible defensive identity because of the players that we have out there on the floor. Offensively, I think we're settling into what we're gonna be. It's just a matter of refining it. We're 4-out-1 team. That's what, in order to have space for Cam Boozer and Pat Ngongba to operate in the middle, one of them has to be out of the paint in order for the other one to operate, so that nobody can play drop, nobody can double, keeps floor spread, yada yada yada. Plus, you've seen now every game Pat has taken a shot or from 3-point line. Every game Cam Boozer has led the team in assists. You know what I mean? There are some things that are occurring that happen every game that you can see it's going to be a part of this team's quote unquote identity. So the main identity is 4-out-1 in my opinion, but this team does so many things offensively that I think it's efficiency. It's get your shots up. We will rebound. We'll rebound not most of, but we'll rebound a lot of the misses because we have that ability. But as of right now, that's what I look at as the identity of the team. Like it's not run and gun. It's not transition, anything like that. It's still going to be 68 possessions a game, just as John has been the entire time he's been in Duke as the head coach, and look for the best shot possible.
Yeah, DH.
Yeah, same. I will say that I think while it's going to be important for there to be a very steady diet of Pat and or Cam with the ball on the block, I do think one of Duke's superpowers is having a big offensive hub at the in the middle of the floor at the top of the key to make decisions.
Mm-hmm.
So having Pat, Malik, and Cam at the top of the key to be able to facilitate, I think where Duke is going to evolve is what actions they use to maximize that. Does that mean they cut off ball? Does that mean that Dame doesn't have to catch the corner and try to drive the closeout into traffic? Does that mean that those flare screens starts opening up? Does that mean that they use that kind of brush screen, like dribble handoff fake into a brush screen to get Isaiah going to the rim? Like all of those are things that I think that John wants to unlock with this team as a complementary piece to having Pat and Cam in the middle or on the block just doing damage, because what I think defenses are going to start doing in those situations, the 4-out-1 in, is what they've been doing with Cam is they've been doubling on the dribble. And so Cam is going to have to get a little bit better at seeing where the help is coming from and making that same thing that Coop had to figure out, the same thing that, all of Duke's elite, kind of stretch 4-ish wings, I think that that's going to be the next evolution for Cam Boozer's game, is when he does get on the block and he gets a small guy on him and he's either driving from the wing or gets in an island one-on-one empty side on the block. When they bring the double, where's the double coming from? Duke has shown the ability to interior pass. They've shown the ability. Cam has shown the ability to throw the lob. So there's lots of schematic options. But I think right now Duke's at its best when they're getting shots at the rim with Pat and Cam on the block, and I think they'll evolve into an efficient 5-out team like they were last year.
One thing I am tracking real quick before we move on to the next question is because we did bring up Dame and Zay. As Dame has ascended, Zay has kind of shrunk a little bit on the offensive side of the ball, at least.
Yeah.
I would definitely like to see those two get going at the same time, because if that happens, then there's nothing you can do to defend this team. Like that at that point,
there's nothing you can do.
Yeah,
and I think Isaiah, what I think makes him so lethal is in those first couple games he just never stopped moving.
Mm-hmm.
And I think against Texas it was like that. I think that what was the other game where he had like 22 or something? Was that Western Carolina or something? Like he never stopped moving. And I think in the games where he doesn't do as well, maybe he doesn't hit his first shot or what have you, he just allows himself to be a spacer, and he doesn't allow himself to be a threat in, first of all, as a screener, but then off of the screens being able to be a mover off ball, which I think is what's going to unlock him to keep him active. And as much gravity as he requires, he's shown the ability for the pocket pass. He's shown the ability to curl and throw the lob up to Pat.
Yeah.
I think he's shown the ability to dump down. Like, he's showing the ability. He just has to be more active, in my opinion. I think John will put him in positions to do
And
that.
the nice thing is, like, Dame doesn't take shots from Zay because most of Dame stuff's in transition or on the secondary break. Like, Zay gets plays drawn up for him more so than Dame does. And Dame will have plays drawn up for him eventually, but it's not like they're taking offense from each other. Like, this is not a Kyrie Irving, Nolan Smith situation where one is taken from the other. Like, this is like, let's just you figure it out at the same time and we'll be fine.
Yeah,
it's true complementary. And it kind of goes to the final question, which is, whose role do you see changing the most by the end of the season? And the two guys that I kept thinking
That's a
of
good question.
is a great question. But the two guys I kept coming back to were Dame Sarr and Isaiah Evans. Because, we think we know exactly who they are, but, DH and AC, you both talked about, I think we talk about a ceiling. Dame has a very high ceiling. I don't think we're going to see anywhere close to his ceiling at Duke. But what can John maximize this year? And then with Slim, for me, it's that consistency. And so that might be a cop out for this answer in terms of roles. But if he's able to show more consistency, not only from game to game, but within the game, when his first shot doesn't go down and his second shot doesn't go down, to be able to find other ways, be more creative. And I think that the coaching staff will help him in getting into those positions to be like, hey, look, if you miss 3 in a row, I don't fucking care. I need you to do this, this, and this to be able to find your spots, get to your spots, know what your spots are, and we'll find you. We'll get you there. We'll get you going. You're 13 or 15 from the line this year. Get to the line, get yourself there. You're a great scorer, do that. And then with Dame, yeah, it doesn't surprise me. It won't surprise me if, come January, he does have plays that are drawn up for him. He's shown the ability to knock it down from deep. He's a phenomenal athlete. He has length. He's a guy that can get to the rim and create havoc once he gets more comfortable. I mean, he's been playing Euro professional ball. Now he's playing American college ball. There is a difference. And once he gets settled in, I see his role as a scorer, which I don't think I would have said before the season, elevating too, because I always thought it'd be the big three in terms of scoring: Cam, Slim, and Big Pat. I can see Dame Sarr taking that leap as well, and maybe there's it's a four-headed monster, and that's not even talking about Hemania, who is just scratching the surface. So, DH, that might be your answer. I don't want to steal it.
No, that's not my answer. I think everything that Nick is doing now is his role this season. I mean, he had 9, 6, and 5. Like that. I think that's exactly where Shire wants him to be. I think there'll be more creativity in how he gets that 9, or probably like 7 to 8 points, 4 to 5 rebounds, 2 to 3 assists a game. I think they'll be more creative with more spacing, and like he'll be able to show. I mean, you saw him operating in the pick and roll last game, which is exactly what I wanted him to do as the ball handler. And so I think that has always been there. I think that will be consistent this year. I don't expect him to be all of a sudden I think once his 3 start going down, I think that's always been his role. I agree with you on the I'm much more on the Dame side than Isaiah. I think Isaiah's role is consistent. He just has to do it consistently. I think his role is consistent, but I think his capacity for that role on a night-to-night basis has ebbed and flowed, and I want to see him do that more consistently. But I think Dame has some creation things that he'll probably be able to unlock a little bit more in January, February than he does now. I think now he gets in trouble when he tries to drive closeouts. I think he gets in trouble when he tries to, when he gets the ball on the second side on a swing, and someone jumps out at him now that he's knocking down 40-something% of his threes right now. And then he gets in trouble trying to go to the rim because he's not as strong as he needs to be. I'd love to see what looks like with Dame to come off those elbow curls and get into the lane and see what happens with his 38.5-inch vertical. I want to see what that looks like. So I think offensively that's going to be an evolution for him. And who knows, maybe we don't see that at a high level this year. Maybe it takes the NBA to show that to him. But I think he's going to always be that like lockdown, shut down your best perimeter guy defensively. But offensively, I think he's going to be a work in progress and an evolution. I think he's damn good now.
Okay, go ahead, AC.
Caden Boozer. Caden Boozer is my answer. You're going to see him become more of a scorer in these bigger games, especially as conference play wears through, a la Tyus Jones. I think we need, even though we don't need a lead guard, quote unquote, you do. You still need somebody who can facilitate. You still need somebody who can move the ball. There's nobody better on this team than getting to the middle of a defense and moving the ball around than Caden Boozer. There's no more accurate passer. Him and Nick Mania are the two most accurate passers on the team. His brother Cam has been the leading assist man because of how we've run the offense so far. But I think that every great team makes a change and makes a pretty drastic change that teams aren't ready for. I think Caden Boozer having a larger role A and becoming more of a scorer B is vital for this team. 2 points against Tennessee, 2 points against Texas. You're not going to see those numbers very much more often against these better teams from Caden Boozer because he's only going to get more comfortable. The kid's good. He's good at basketball. He knows how to play. He's a winner. And he and his brother
makes it easier. Yeah, I was going to say,
yeah.
he makes it easier for his brother.
Absolutely. They have that twin. They got those wonder twin powers. And
activate.
There's just it's that second sense, man. Like there's something to it.
Yeah.
That you saw no better basketball from Duke than when in 2009, 2010 from the bigs, at least, than when Mason Plumlee and Miles Plumlee were on the floor together. Like those two on the floor together were menaces. But K held them. He didn't all season. He held it. He would play them separately. They'd sub for each other. They'd never play together. And at the end of the season, when Zubac took over in the starting lineup with Lance Thomas, those two were like superheroes coming off the bench. Nobody could do anything about it in transition, anything else. It was incredibly difficult to deal with. And you're going to see the same thing, I think, with Caden Boozer. We're going to utilize him and his brother together. He's obviously going to play loads of minutes. He's going to play 20-plus minutes a game, Caden is. But his evolution is going to be to score the ball better. He's 1 for 7 from 3 right now. That number one proof. He's going to get more shots at 2. He's going to have more than the 3 assists he's averaging a game right now as well.
And they're going to leave him. I think, I don't know if it was Indiana State or Western Carolina, but it was like they went into like this 1-3-1, 1-1-3 zone when Kane was out there, and they just left him and just let him shoot that top of the key 3. And
he's going to get the Trey Jones treatment.
Yep, and I think that as great as he is, particularly in transition off of a make or a miss, as much as he's able to pitch the ball ahead and get numerical advantages, which John likes to look for schematically in transition, he is 34 to 35% catch and shoot 3-point percentage away from unlocking everything for this team. So that's a really good point, AC.
Yeah, and doing it early in the season, speaking of the opponents, like them doing that early in the season against Caden is great. Like that's perfect. Okay, now you know how teams are viewing you as a player. I'm not saying that every team is going to play you the same way, but that's how they.
But it's an option. It's a possibility.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And so, Trey didn't really find that out until the hard way in the tournament.
And the difference with Trey too is Trey didn't have anybody he could throw down to. It was always he's either throwing over to Zion, over to Cam, or over to RJ. Caden, you can, if they're going to play drop on Caden, if they're going to put Taco Fall on Caden Boozer, he's at least going to be able to take the distance up with the dribble and with the pass. Like drop is not going to bother him, like it did Trey, because the teams just play totally different.
Yeah, exactly. Completely different teams, and that's good. But that's another a good example. And we'll see what John ends up doing, because if Caden ends up being that kind of player, one of the reasons I brought up making it easier for his brother, honestly, I was just thinking as basketball players. I wasn't even thinking about the twin thing, and the reason is because the usage rate of Cam is so high that now Caden can kind of take a little bit off of Cam's plate and say, "Hey, I got you, bro," quite literally.
Yeah.
And be able to facilitate more, and just I know this comes down to playing together for your entire life, plus the twin thing. I know where you're going to be, so don't even worry about it, I got you. So just from that standpoint alone, we talked about, I feel like every week now, is, when will Caden start? I mean, if that kind of stuff comes to fruition, then
Right.
probably sooner than later. And that's not a knock necessarily on Caleb as much as it is Caden's coming and taking it.
I don't know if he does, TK.
I don't think he does.
Like
I'm not saying
the more, and not just from I know, like at the beginning of the season, I was very much viewing it as a, who's the starting QB, this
One of
guy,
the
the next guy kind of thing. But as I've seen the season unfold, like you've seen Caleb start, but there have been, I think it was Western Carolina and who do we play after Texas, where
Western
like
Carolina's
Caleb
after Texas.
started, but Caden still had more minutes.
Mhm.
And I think the way that that's why now I'm starting to think of it in the context of how many points, assists, rebounds, turnovers are we getting from the point guard position? Because I think it's going to be matchup dependent. I think on matchups where we need somebody to space the floor, Caleb's going to play more, at least at this stage. I think in moments where you need somebody to get to the rim and be able to get 2 feet in the paint at will, you're going to, right for now, you're going to use Caleb. If you need somebody to pitch the ball ahead and play more in transition, or like defensively, like I just think that John has 2 point guards, and that's how John's going to play it. And at least this point of the season, I don't think that switching things, at least at this moment, a lot of folks have said, oh, after Kansas, Caden is going to start over Caleb. I no longer think that it's a competition. I think John just feels like he has 2, and whatever the matchup dictates is who is going to play more often. My hope is that Caleb doesn't take it as that when Caden gets more minutes, though. I think that's the between the ears part that I'm hoping that Caleb does, and him responding as he did against Indiana State gave me a lot of hope because he was as aggressive as we've seen him. 12 shots, 14 points. That's what we like to see. We want that efficiency to get higher. We want him to make a couple more layups, but that's what we like to see. Aggressive Caleb is the best Caleb for this team, especially if they're going to play them together at times, which John is showing the willingness to do.
Yeah. We did get one last second mailbag question. This one came from TK 5 Point Play Podcast. He wants to know, how long should you have been on the Discord to realize that Cam Williams was going to commit to Duke? So if you were on the Discord, you could have known this how long ago?
Listen, man, AC.
What, 2 months ago?
AC and Pops, yeah, they called it a while ago, y'all.
2 weeks before CTC.
Yeah,
we're seeing all these accounts on social media, in the last week. Well, Cam Williams to Duke. If you were on our Discord, you would have known that for a long time. All right, so we got a couple games coming up here. Obviously, Champions Classic tomorrow night. AC will be in the building. This game will be somewhere around the 9 to 10 o'clock hour, depending on the game before.
10:30.
So, right. So,
it's gonna be a late night.
You gotta speak to AC on that train ride up, and then having about 3 or 4 hours to kill in Manhattan before the game.
I'm gonna have to space out my airplane bottles, man. I'm gonna have to space that out. I'm not gonna be able to go hard in the paint.
All right, so the big news here is obviously it's our first big game, but it looks like we're not going to be getting Kansas at full strength. DH, you said you've been following this. What's the latest with that as far as you can tell, and then just kind of break down this game in terms of how you expect Duke to fare.
So I spent a lot of time, unfortunately, on Kansas basketball media land, and there a lot of Bill stuff hasn't helped. A lot of the conversation has been around Darryn Peterson's hamstring injury that originally was viewed as cramps early in the year, but they're finding out that it seems to be a little bit more serious than that. The conversation from Bill Self has been after the Princeton game day before yesterday, was that he will be out for the immediate future. Immediate future can mean a lot of different things. It feels like Coach K and the out indefinitely thing. And so that's wise gamesmanship from Bill Self, because you have to figure out what to do about that. But a lot of folks from in Kansas, on the Kansas side, don't believe he's going to play. Their thought process is, this is a long season and you're playing against, a bigger, faster, stronger Duke team. And why would you potentially want to aggravate that injury off of one game? when they have a lot of games coming up that they need to win. So their thought process and speculation is that he won't play. They don't have a lot of sourcing for that, so I wouldn't count on that. And I don't have any sourcing on that, but I do know that the sentiment in the media sphere is that he won't play. And if he doesn't play, good luck. They have, against Princeton, Floyd Badunga had a career night. I think Floyd Badunga was really, really good. He showed, some development with regard to his face-up game when, before he was very much, Duke recruited him for a hot minute, where he was very rim runner, screen roll, jump out of the gym kind of guy. 6'10", 235, I think are his measurables. So he'll be physically at a disadvantage depending on what his matchup is. And then the other kind of key players for them are Trey White and Cole Rosario. They don't necessarily shoot the three very well outside of Darryn Peterson, and Darryn Peterson has such high usage rate for Kansas when he's on the floor that, it's going to be difficult for them to replace that level of production. I think the line today shifted to like 10 and a half.
Right now.
I think Duke has the advantage in the front court regardless of whether Darryn Peterson plays. And I like the matchup of Dame Sarr on Darryn Peterson, even if Darryn Peterson does play. I think Dame just presents a defensive matchup that Darryn probably won't see very often. And so even if Darryn was playing, I'd like Duke in this game, but there are a lot of intriguing matchups. I think Duke's front court is going to be good. I think that Caleb and Caden will have an easier time of it if Darryn doesn't play, because Darryn's a great defender as well. There's a lot of different matchups to look at, but I like Duke in this one regardless, because I think Duke is playing better. Kansas's offense isn't great. Their defense is okay, but their offense has not been great even with Darryn in the game. And Duke's defense has been top 5, top 10 thus far in the country, and I don't expect them to slow that down, especially with the likes of Madison Square and the game on the line. I think Duke will come out with a lot to play for.
Go ahead, AC.
Yeah, UNC fans can talk about how we don't have to play Kansas with Darryn Peterson. I counter that we don't have to play Kansas, or UNC didn't have to play Kansas with Genyu Gala. Fuck y'all. 7 minutes a game, shooting 67% from three. No, anyway. No, like DH said, man. The matchup for this game is gonna be in the front court. Not that they can match us or anything in the backcourt, but they do have some guys in the backcourt and Trey White and Melvin Council and Cole Rosario that can get some points up in a hurry because they shoot from three well. But really, like, getting into their front court and getting them in foul trouble is going to be huge. Bryson Tiller fouled out against UNC. Flory actually has played really well this season out of foul trouble, and they haven't sacrificed rim protection. So getting shots at the rim is going to be difficult this game. So, like, kind of in talking about the mid-range, it'll be interesting to see if we make it a point to get to the rack and just finish strong at the rack, make your shots, and get to the free throw line, get those guys in foul trouble, or if we try to settle and try to shoot more jumpers in that mid-range. I hope we take the route of getting to the rack, because getting these guys in foul trouble, they don't really have any options outside of them. So, and I think that's going to put Kansas in a tailspin. What's that?
They'll try to do the same to us.
Yeah, exactly.
Bill's going to try to
for sure.
I think the winner of the front court battle is going to win the game. Yeah. I think the backcourt will cancel out. I think even if Darryn plays and gets 29, if we get 29 from Cole and Caleb together, it's a wash. I think we have the advantage on the wings, and I think we have. I mean, statistically speaking, we should be. We're better on paper, not just from a roster perspective, but how we play. As much as that backcourt and those wings can shoot, they have not shot well so far. So good and well they're going to come out guns blazing against us in Madison Square. It's a foregone conclusion. And so I think, to your point,
and Bryson Tiller can make whoever his matchup step away from the basket. So I have a feeling that we're going to see Cam Boozer on Tiller as much as possible when he's in the game. But the battle's in the front court. They don't rebound well. We're going to smash them on the board. We should smash them on the boards. We better. We take advantage of that. that matchup on the rebounding side of the game, we're gonna walk away with this thing easily plus 10.5.
All right, so that's the betting. What is the actual prediction from UAC?
I don't think we're gonna be in the high 80s, but I'll say 82. I'll say 82 to 69. I think that's a respectable score against the Kansas team that'll be looking to try to make a statement. With or without Darryn Peterson.
Yeah, I'm pretty close. I was 83-68. So, DH, I know you just say win, but give me a score. Give me a score for this big game.
I can give you a margin. I like Duke by 15. I think Duke wins. I think Duke wins comfortably here. I think Duke has way too many options and is way too stout defensively. I think that just fucking win. I think Duke by 14 is going to be how it all pans out tomorrow.
Duke gets his win too. This will be another monkey off John's back. He's lost to himself twice now since he's been a head coach. One of the things we've kind of looked at the past couple of years is him getting big wins against these veteran coaches. He hasn't done it yet with consistency. He's done it in spots, but not with consistency yet. This non-conference that he has set up is absolutely going to test that. So I would regardless of whether Darryn Peterson's out there or not, this is a monkey off the back type of win for John coming up if he can get it.
Yeah, agreed. And I will say I wanted to see that Dame versus Peterson matchup. So if it happens, great. If it doesn't, it is what it is.
Next year, I guess, when the Trailblazers plays the Grizzlies, I guess.
That's right, yeah. All right, so we got two games, Friday and Sunday. After this one, Niagara, what are they, the Pelicans or something like the Eagle? I don't know.
Pelicans.
Are they actually? What's their mascot?
I'm looking it up now.
Bird. I don't know. I'm just looking at the logo. I think that'll be
the Purple Eagles.
The Purple
gentlemen.
Eagles.
The Purple Eagles.
That's right. The Purple Eagles.
Excellent. Well, they're going to get smoked. And then we can give predictions we want. I mean, like 97 to 62. But I want to get into the second of these two games, which is Howard. Not only because
you can't just gloss over Greg Paulus's return to Cameron.
I did that on purpose. I did that on purpose.
Brotherhood run, man.
Nah.
Not
for Greg Paulus. We've already been on this podcast long enough. I'm not talking about Greg Paulus because I don't have that kind of time. And so, yeah, was it intentional? Sure it was. That will be an encore. I may be by myself, but for about 45 minutes to 3 hours, I will talk about Greg Paulus and the absolute hole that he dug this program in. For the 4 years,
single-handedly almost.
It was unbelievable. Okay, I'm not getting into this. Okay, Ray Paul, welcome back.
Cook TK.
He did come back the game before Coach K's last game in Cameron, BTW.
Don't let the doors of Cameron hit you on the way. All right, so Howard is after that. DH will be in the building. Proud Howard alum. Break this one down for us, DH.
I mean, Howard's going to be outmatched, but they're going to be scrappy. I mean, under Kenny Blakeney, Howard is not the average unfortunate HBCU team that comes into a Cameron Indoor and gets trounced by 60. That said, it is very clear they're going to be overmatched and also be Nate's return to Cameron. Because he's now on their coaching staff.
Nate James, assistant coach.
Nate James is assistant coach now. So that'll be nice. I'm sure that on all accounts that'll be really cool to see. But I still expect Duke to not have many problems. I mean, they'll be more athletic. They'll probably run some weird schemey zone. But I expect Duke to handle that pretty handily. I don't worry about that at all. It'll just be a nice atmosphere. Claps and hugs for Kenny and Nate, and let's move on.
and for Tyler Thornton to see,
word.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
true Brotherhood reunion here. Really love
Absolutely.
it. Unlike the Niagara game, this is a true Brotherhood game.
Cook, TK. Cook.
TK, you're gonna have to turn off the telecast. At least you're gonna have to mute it
Yeah.
because when they play Niagara, it's
he's gonna. I guarantee you, when they get down by like 40, he's gonna send someone to take out Cam Boozer's knees.
I'm sure. Everything the announcers say is gonna be about how John and Greg were teammates. You're just gonna hear it all night because there's gonna be nothing to talk about. The game's gonna be a complete blowout. There's gonna be nothing to talk about. But with Howard, yeah, no, I mean, they have. I think Howard will at least be in the game, if not leading, kind of a la Indiana State early. They got 3 big-time 3-point shooters.
Yeah, that's some ballers there.
In their backcourt with Bryce Harrison, Alex Cotton, and then Cam Gillis, who's a transfer in from where did he come from? Did he come from St. Bonaventure? Where did he come from? He came from another D1 school. Very good player. Either way, they got 3 really good 3-point shooters. Then they have a big Lithuanian big man in the middle who's going to muck everything up, throwing elbows the way they do over there in Europe. He's going to play physical, so Pat's going to foul out. We already know that. But I absolutely do see them giving us a little bit of a run to start the game at least, and we'll take over. It's incredibly difficult to continue to do things against this Duke team because they put so much pressure on you. They'll be gassed by the end of the game. But Howard will very much make it a respectful game in the first half, I think. But give me since you skipped over it, give me 97-40 against Niagara.
I needed that.
Payback for giving Ohio State the scout against Duke when we played them when Greg Paulus was there.
Jeez.
And then give me like 85-60 against Howard. I think they'll keep that one fairly. They'll score enough points to make it respectable enough.
Yeah, and it's going to be Duke's first game playing without Cam Boozer, who will be injured after Niagara. So that'll be interesting as well. We're going to have to figure
What
out.
are we doing?
Telling you, right, you can't count out with Great Balls.
You can't trust him. You can't trust him.
Almost single-handedly took down the entire. Before the Brotherhood was a thing, he almost took that from us. That's who Great Paulus is.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I don't know this story, but I'm sure the encore will be fantastic.
No, that's okay. We're going to move on. All right. So, Howard won. Yeah, I'm kind of with you. Like 88-62, something like that.
Yeah.
It's also on Friday, Sunday, right before Thanksgiving. We got to go on the road to Chicago and play Arkansas. But we'll be back before that. So we welcome in Howard for sure to Cameron Indoor Stadium. That's where it ends. Because I'm not welcoming him. I'm not going to do it. No.
TK off. It's time.
All right, big game tomorrow night, everybody. Hit our Discord for the game chat for sure. Follow us on Instagram, on X. Probably no spaces tomorrow because AC's going to be in the building.
That's correct.
You can find all of our stuff on YouTube. Please hit subscribe. We're on the road to 500. If you want to be a part of the mailbag and you're not on the Discord, shoot us an email, 5pointplaypodcast@gmail.com. That's the number 5pointplaypodcast@gmail.com.
See it on the bottom of the screen.
And you already know, let's go Duke.
Let's go Duke, baby. Go beat the hell out of Kansas.